Flanery. Yes. Woo. And the thing about Dexter is that it was a very original idea. We're going to make our serial killer the hero. The way we do that is that we make him kill the people that nobody wants. So that's really the simple, boiled down version, is that this guy is killing the people that everybody wants gone anyway. And Michael C. Hall is a very warm kind of character, very kind of warm and fuzzy and neutral. So people are able to project a lot of love onto him. He projects very little out. But Dexter is the kind of person where people just project everything they think onto him. So I hope that answers the question somewhat.
And Sean, you came on pretty late to the show, but did you ever watch the show before and you knew what you were getting yourself into? Did you like it beforehand?
I'd never seen the show before, but I did.
I loved it.
But you know, I mean, I knew it was a hit TV show, and I'll tell you, I've made a career out of doing films that nobody sees. So having an opportunity to go and do a TV show that you knew, you know, 5 million people were going to watch every week was kind of incredible. But I started watching them, and I understand why it was a successful series. It's a great show. You know, it's compelling. It's well acted. It's well created. It's well executed. I really dug it. It was an honor to be a part of something like that, because like I said, I've spent a lot of time making films that never see the light of day. So it was a neat opportunity. It was.
Now, can you tell us a little bit what characteristics the character you played had? What did you try to portray? Was it more of a lovable guy like he described, you know, like Dexter? And what about your character? Was it more angry person? What would you describe your character?
No, you know, I think my character was the reality. You know, I think in 6 seasons you get lost into the romance of this serial killer, and you start to root for him. At the end of the day, he's killing people. And my character was somebody that's after somebody that's killing people. He didn't take into consideration whether that person deserved to die or not. He took out the judge and jury. You know, he just wanted to pursue somebody that obfuscated the law. That's it. You know, so, and because the romance of, you know, Dexter, we like him because we've watched him for 6 seasons. At the end of the day, you know, I mean, there's plenty of people that break the law out there that are good people. You know, look at the Boondock Saints. They execute people. You know, you like them because they execute the right people. Same thing with Dexter. You know, he's committing a crime, but he's killing the right people. You know, so my character was that guy that saw it and said, "Hey, I'm gonna pursue to the legal extreme." You know, and people hated him, and I understand that. I understand.
Can you tell us a little bit, James, about you not playing a physical character, how it is then to interact with Michael C. Hall when you're actually not really there, you know?
I was really there. You play it the same as you play it in any scene. You try to tell the truth. But physically, we couldn't interact the way you interact with someone who's really there. I couldn't say, hand him this mic. It had to be, we kind of did sort of a little dance around each other because I represented a voice in his head. And, you know, I carry images of my father. You know, I know what my father looked like in my mind. So if I dream, you know, I see my father and my father's talking to me. So the Dexter character was experiencing kind of a walking dream. And so that's basically how we played it. We played it as though we were having a truthful conversation, but it was a conversation that, let's say this is me and Dexter, and you're Deborah, you wouldn't see me. So when the camera was between me and Mike, it was a conversation between 2 guys, but when they put the camera over you would just see him. So it wasn't really any kind of change or stretch from playing an honest scene, so long as you have a real honest conversation. You could say that it's, you know, the voice of Harry as remembered by Dexter, but that gets too fucking complicated. Pardon my language. It gets too complicated. It became just having an honest conversation with another character.
Also, Sean, knowing that the series was on so long, you got to meet only a few of the characters that were on there, because some already were also dead that were like main cast or something. So if you could change your character and choose someone else, is there someone you would have wanted to portray?
I mean, you know, that's an open question, of course. I mean, being an actor, there's always characters you want to portray. All of them. The answer is fucking all of them. As an actor, I wanted to be every character. You know, there's something in every written character that's flavorful, that you want to put in your mouth and spin around and just let your saliva permeate, you know? Every single one of them. There's some wonderful writing in that show. So, yeah, I don't know an actor that I wouldn't want to play that. There's something that you see in everything that you want to realize, you know?
And then you as a father, James, did you take some of that to, you know, be a father role?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't. I wasn't ready to play that character a minute before I got to play it. I feel like if I played that 10 years earlier, it would have been like wearing, you know, like a little kid puts on his father's suit and it's way too big for him. I've had to grow into my roles, and I got to play Dexter when I was 50, and my kids were a little grown, because, you know, well, my son was 15 when I started, my daughter was 10. Being the father of little kids is different than being a father of big kids, and I had to be a father of a big kid in the show, and it was just the right time. Yes, my paternal experience did help.
Can you, either of us, tell us a little bit, fans' questions we received online were like, can you tell them how Dexter was shot? We know it was also shot on location in Miami, but how many parts were like on location, and what was studio and stuff like that?
Well, really simply, we started the whole show in Florida, and we were going to shoot the show in Florida, and then Hurricane Rita came through, and followed by Hurricane Andrew, and the insurance companies said, we're not financing, we're not protecting this, and so luckily we got to go back to Los Angeles, and we shot everything at the Sunset Gower Studios, and all of the exterior scenes we shot down in Long Beach, California, which is very flat, which resembles Florida. We had good DPs, and you know, they put a few coconut palms in there. And every 2 or 3 seasons, they would go back to Florida with Michael, and he'd drive around the city. And they take stock footage of him driving the boat, driving the car, walking around. That's how they did it, and they pieced it together.
What's each of your guys' take? Sean, you can start on the whole series finale. You know, it leaves open, you know, maybe, you know, a continuation of the whole thing. So did you know what was going to happen, and what's your take on it?
I knew it was going to happen, then I didn't know it was going to happen when they changed it, then I knew again when they changed it again, then I didn't know. It went through, he can tell you, there was so many incarnations. When I read the final script, it was very different. You know, I was pursuing it, and I was going to find a guy that went out into a storm and took his own life to take himself out of the world. And then that changed, and then it came back, and then it changed, and then he was a lumberjack. And, you know, it's after 7 seasons, when I invest my time into a show, I go to that show to have someone tell me a story. I don't like, at the end of it, for somebody to tell me it's left up to interpretation. I came to you for a story. So I really like concentric circles. That's just me.
Okay. I fucking hated it. It was terrible. You know, I'll go on record. And everybody feels the same way. We had 7, 8 seasons of a show that, you know, really had a very strong life of its own that people loved, and they just got very lazy with the ending. I feel like they felt like they had to tie it up, and they didn't really know what they were going to do, and blah, 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 blah. And so they just kind of slapped that thing together. I do think that it was actually a good idea having Michael in the cabin by himself, because that was a very beautiful shot. But everything that went, you know, because it does leave it open, you know, he could come back. Which I think was smart of them to leave it open that Mike could come back as Dexter, because the fans want it. But the whole rest of it was just kind of shitty writing. You know, I'll say it. Anybody that asks me, I tell them the same thing. I think they just got lazy and didn't know what to do.
If you would have written it, what would it?
You know, I don't know if it translates being in a different language, but that's pretty much exactly what I said. I want somebody to tell me a story. I don't want you to leave it open-ended. When I go to you for a story and I invest 7 years, I want you to fucking tell me how the story ends. I don't want to leave it open-ended. I paid you with 7 years of my time to tell me this fucking story. Don't leave it. Never tell me like, and then he woke up and it was all a dream. Fuck you. No, it wasn't a dream. What happened in the story? And I like concentric circles. You don't buy your wife 8 gifts because you're not sure which one she likes. You make a choice. You buy her 1 gift, and that's what you gave her. And I want the writers to give me a story. I agree with him 100%.
And then if you would have had the chance to write it yourself, would you just have left him just in the storm in the boat, or would you even have altered it altogether, the ending of it?
I don't know. I'm not the writer.
Well, if you had the possibility, like.
Well, you can ask that question to anybody in the room. You know, how would you like Dexter to have ended? And then there's your answer. I would have been happy for the show to continue. It was a great job. I enjoyed myself. I would like to see the show grow and continue, but you know, the boss of Showtime, you know, he said he'd never seen a show get canceled when the ratings went up every year. Usually a show is canceled when the ratings are going down, but we were still going up, and I think Mike had just had enough. You know, playing that character was wearing him out.
I bet a lot of fans would appreciate the series coming back with you in it because they're such big fans. So let's see if we can have some fan questions over here. Möchtet ihr Fragen stellen mit Übersetzung, allen möglichen drum und dran? Einmal aufstehen, damit ich euch sehe.
Everybody say really loud, say woman.
Must be the vibe, the Frau, ja, die Fraulein.
Wir haben noch bestimmt eine Frage hier. Traut ihr euch? Traut ihr euch nicht? Nein? They're so shy all the time, the Germans fans. Anyways, then we
Kotigo arimasu ka? Kotigo arimasu ka?
Can you, I know this is also a standard, but each of you, your favorite moment on set you had to experience? I mean, you had some more years, but you, in your short brief of time, was there a favorite moment you experienced on the show? Of filming
on the show?
Yeah, on film, while filming it.
Oh, well, there was one, I liked all of the first season very much. I got to play a scene with Mike and Deborah when Harry was dying. The scene was called the episode was called Popping Cherry, and it's when Dexter does his first kill, and I have him kill the nurse that's killing me, and it was a real pleasure to play because Mike put on a wig and Deb changed her hair, so they looked like they were teenagers. That was a lot of fun to play. And there was one scene that Michael and I did, I think 2 seasons later, when I came out wearing the kill suit, the kill outfit, and say, hey, maybe we should just go do this together. What do you say? And we sat on a couch just like this, and we talked about how the distance between two people can be infinite, even for people that really love each other. That was a very powerful experience.
I like I said earlier, I've made a career out of doing independent films, so it's very rare for me to shoot in LA. And my house is right up by the Hollywood sign. It's overlooking the Capitol Records building, and I could honestly ride my skateboard down the hill to Sunset Gower Studios. So every day, yeah, it's pretty brilliant. I mean, the fact that I could leave my house on my skateboard and go to work on a studio lot in LA really made you feel like an actor. And I'll tell you another thing, because I've made independent films, and I don't know if you guys know this, but there's something called craft service. It's where you can go and you can get a little snack in between shooting. And the films that I do, there's a styrofoam cup, a couple M&Ms, maybe a Cheeto, that's it. But on Dexter, the hit show, man, they would have like a coffee truck come that would make you frappuccino, gelato, ice. So I'd go like 8 times in a day just because I was like, oh shit, free ice cream sundaes. And I've never had that kind of experience on a set before, but it was beautiful. You could go and you could get a hot turkey open-faced sandwich and they'd make it for you right there. My craft service is like, oh, you hungry? There's an apple over there. It's only got 2 bruises on it. Enjoy. So I don't know. I felt like a rock star on Dexter. I loved it. Every day was like, I can't believe I'm doing this shit.
Was it for you that you said in another panel, you were like the bad guy feeling, being a good guy? Was that though also fun, or was it challenging more?
My favorite stuff to do is character work. And Jacob wasn't really a severe character, but my favorite stuff is to play the bad guy. To have something, my favorite stuff is the biggest distance away from who I am on the street. That's my favorite stuff to play. It doesn't keep me awake at night to go in and do something that I do naturally. I want to walk different and speak different and inflect different and have a different cadence of speech. So I enjoyed playing the character, but he wasn't a true mustache twister.
Basically, that's the last question we have for today. Was there also something for you, that was hard to film? Like a scene that was hard to film? That was like, or a kill that you knew was in the script that you found extremely gruesome, even you knew the bad guy takes out the worst guy?
Oh, there was one, when the season with Julia Stiles, when she played Lumen, there were two things, because they had these dead women in barrels in this swamp, and they actually put these barrels in a swamp, and me and Mike were standing up to our hips in the water, discovering this, and we put the light on, and you see these very realistic fake corpses, but they were very realistic and they were very frightening. It was 2 o'clock in the morning and out in the middle of nowhere, and it stayed with me. It was disturbing. And when Julia Stiles was first discovered, she was in this kill room, she's like banging on the door, and she comes out, and her hands are all like it's just makeup. And she's just lying on the table, like half asleep, and there's this innocent person, and just being in that scene, it upset me. I didn't go through a problem while I was doing it, but later on, it kind of lingered because you give it some thought, and there are people that do that kind of thing to other people. So. Sometimes there is that experience here and there. Usually, I'm very detached from it. I have a good distance, or I'm able to, wash it off at the end of the day. But both of those moments kind of lingered.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question about you guys have seen the movie Warriors? Warriors? You ever seen the movie Warriors? Warriors, come out and play. You ever seen that? Rent it. Watch the movie Warriors. But I got a question because when you guys shot that in the 70s, I had never went to New York until I became. No, of course I was born in the 70s, brother. But the first time I went to New York was in the 90s. And you guys shot in Central Park when Central Park was kind of a war zone.
Actually, it was Riverside Park.
So it wasn't in Central Park?
The hidden place didn't shoot in Central
No
Park.
shit.
It was too much of a war zone.
Well, tell them that. Because if you know Central Park, in the 70s, it was a very, very dangerous area. And in the film, a couple of scenes take place in Central Park. And my question to him was like, what was it like shooting in Central Park, doing a night shoot, which I know they would shoot 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and I'll let him answer.
Well, we ruled the city. Basically, we were a caravan that went throughout the city in the late 70s when it was the height of Studio 54 and all that. We basically owned the night. It was pretty great. But we owned the night and basically had the run of the city, kind of like a backstage pass at a Beatles concert. Paramount, yeah, the biggest. They would make 12 studio features a year back then. You know, so you could actually make a movie. It was like a $13, $14 million budget, which for them was it was kind of mid-range actually. But 20 million was a lot. Yeah, so it was a studio feature. It's unusual by today's standards. Yeah.
Well, we would like to invite all the fans to still come say hi at your table today once you're still here, and maybe still get your autograph, take a picture with you today. Unfortunately, that's the last panel we have with you guys on this event.
Oh.
But we would like to thank you very much for coming and give you a big round of applause for Flanery and Dexter Panel.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Dankeschön.